Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating. We're going to break down the exact anatomy of a highly targeted 60-second promotional script for spiritual services. Specifically, we're looking at a campaign focused on black magic removal in wood green. Now, it's wild how much narrative, emotion, and hard information can be packed into literally just 1 minute of content. I mean, we see marketing media every single day that uses this exact same structure to grab our attention. So we're going to look closely at the source material for this script. We'll analyze its visual cues, the voiceover directions, and the psychological journey it takes the potential client on. All right, let's jump right in and see how this message is actually built.
You know, every effective piece of communication absolutely needs a strong opening, right? And this script, it jumps straight into the emotional hook. In the very first 7 seconds, the script hits the viewer with a very direct question. Are you experiencing unexplained negativity, constant disturbances, or feeling emotionally and spiritually unsettled? Boom. It immediately sets the stage for the client's psychological journey. The source material outlines that while this question is playing in the voiceover, the visual is deliberately designed to match and then alleviate that heavy feeling. It actually calls for a dark, mysterious atmosphere that slowly transitions into a calm, bright spiritual setting. We're talking subtle glowing light, incense smoke, candles, the whole shebang. It's a highly sensory opening designed to capture attention by acknowledging a very specific pain point.
And this brilliantly illustrates the immediate pivot the script makes. Because once that problem is established, the proposed solution is introduced right on its heels. The primary promise of this professional spiritual guidance isn't just about, removing a negative element. It's really about helping individuals transition from that unsettled feeling we just talked about directly into a state of calm. The script explicitly states that professional spiritual guidance may help you find clarity and peace. It establishes this crystal clear before and after dynamic right in the opening scene, reassuring the viewer that a positive outcome is the ultimate goal here. Moving into Section 1. Identifying unexplained negative energy. What's super interesting here is how the script takes this broad, kind of abstract concept of negative energy and breaks it down into relatable, everyday experiences. Scene 2 of the script, which runs from the 7 to 17-second mark, details these exact environmental and emotional issues that drive people to seek traditional guidance. The voiceover specifically calls out persistent negativity, unusual obstacles, relationship tension, or a sense of heaviness in their surroundings. By listing these out, the script smartly aims to resonate with viewers who might just be experiencing a run of bad luck or interpersonal conflict and are looking for a spiritual context to understand it. To reinforce this, the visual direction for the scene shows an abstract representation of negative energy surrounding a home, which then visually clears up, making the environment brighter and calmer. Which brings us to Section 2, Spiritual Assessment and Guidance. Having established the problem, the script introduces the guide, Arjun Nandha, and the core methodology. The crucial takeaway here is how the service is structured to feel entirely bespoke to the client. Scene 3 outlines a very clear 3-step approach. First, it emphasizes taking the time to understand individual concerns. This definitely isn't pitched as a one-size-fits-all solution. Second, it leads to a personalized spiritual assessment. And third, based on that unique assessment, traditional spiritual guidance is offered. During this part of the promo, the visual directions call for a meditation space with candles, crystals, traditional symbols, and this soft golden illumination. That visual of peaceful energy flowing through the scene is totally meant to reassure the viewer that the process is organized, safe, and deeply rooted in tradition. Let's look at Section 3, Removal and Protection Practices. Now the script moves to the intended outcomes of the service. What actually happens after the initial assessment is complete. It highlights 3 core pillars that conceptually represent the transition from the client's initial problem to their ultimate goal. You start by addressing the negative energy. You implement spiritual protection, and the result is peace. The visual direction for this specific scene, Scene 4 in the source material, is incredibly dynamic. It describes abstract dark energy dissolving into particles of light, followed by a protective glowing circle that gradually surrounds a peaceful home environment. It's a very literal, powerful visual representation of the journey from vulnerability to safety. I really wanted to highlight this exact voiceover line because it's absolutely pivotal to the tone of the entire script. It says, whether you are looking for guidance regarding negative energy, spiritual disturbances, or protection practices, the consultation is designed to provide a calm and supportive approach. Listen to that last part, designed to provide a calm and supportive approach. The script is so careful to balance the potentially intimidating topic of black magic removal with language that is deeply comforting. It reassures the viewer that regardless of why they're reaching out, the environment provided by Arjun Nandha will be fundamentally supportive. It aims to completely remove any fear or hesitation a potential client might have about taking that next step.
Finally, Section 4, Connecting with Arjun Nandha. Every promotional script needs a call to action, right? But notice the specific use of the word confidential here in the final scenes. As the script pushes the viewer to take action, it heavily emphasizes taking a secure, private step toward greater clarity. When dealing with personal or spiritual disturbances, privacy is a massive concern for people. So, by explicitly stating that the consultation is confidential, the script removes yet another potential barrier to entry. Visually, this is paired with an elegant spiritual background featuring a bright pathway leading toward a peaceful sunrise. It's just a beautiful metaphor for stepping out of a dark time and moving toward a fresh, private start.
To wrap up the video, the script grounds all this spiritual and emotional imagery in hard, practical logistics. Scene 6 clearly lays out all the specific contact and location information for viewers seeking to connect. It provides multiple avenues of contact. There's the website, arjunnandha.astrologer.co.uk, a phone number, and an email address. But it also provides a very specific physical address in London, opposite KFC, 252 Lewisham High Street, London, SE13 6JU. Providing a concrete, easily identifiable physical location, even mentioning the KFC as a landmark, helps to ground the service in reality. It makes it feel accessible and establishes trust. The visual here is described as a clean, professional contact screen with subtle glowing particles, perfectly bridging the gap between the professional and the spiritual. And that brings us to the suggested final screen text from the source material. This is the very last image the viewer is left with, summarizing the core offerings of Arjun Nandha in just 3 quick, digestible points: spiritual guidance, protection, and personal consultation. It's just a really clean, efficient wrap-up of the 60-second journey, reinforcing those key takeaways right before the promotional video ends. Well, that brings us to the end of our breakdown. It is truly remarkable to see how much structure and psychology goes into just 60 seconds of promotional content. From the targeted emotional hook identifying negative energy, through the visually rich promises of protection, right down to the comforting practical call to action. So as I leave you to reflect on this journey from negativity to peace, mirroring the final takeaway of the source script itself, I have to ask, are you ready to take the first step toward greater clarity in how you view the everyday promotional media around you? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and remember to always look a little closer at the media you consume.